is the founder and He's the CEO and founder of Crowdsourced, the massively multiplayer firewall in open source we trust. Entrepreneur created 5 seeded 10 frequent public speaker, panelists, security, e-commerce, and 150 talks. He is a IPITA engineer, 5 years of experience, network system security, 1999, CTO, 11 years, and business development, 10 years, strategic content marketing, and much more. I think we are going to have a very great session. First of all, welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. All over you.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to Gravithon. I'm Philippe, as told before, and I will tell you about a free way of defending your machines with the new open source tool. And this is my pleasure to introduce the why and the how of Crowdsourced. So basically, let's start with the why. It's probably the most important in our history. If you look at all those logos, right, they are super known American company mostly, not only, but mostly American companies. And what is impressive here is they have huge budgets, I mean, unlimited budgets. If you look at JP Morgan, for example, on the lower right corner, those people, they have close to $800 million per year in cybersecurity here. And they got hacked. How can you hack a company that is spending close to $1 billion per year in cybersecurity? It's crazy, right? I mean, this is as if the only field in the world where money doesn't make a difference would be cybersecurity, right? Because if you have a crisis like COVID, when you put money on the table, you get a vaccine at some point. But here, if you put a lot of money on the table, you don't get better security. I mean, even the biggest company get hacked. So how could you defend yourself being a mid-sized company, for example? Super complicated. So, and why do those companies get hacked? Because they're not stupid, right? So there is something else at it. What happens basically is they are fighting against 3 impossible asymmetrical forces. The first one would be time. I mean, the time between the intrusion and the detection, the time where there is a new vulnerability on the market and you never know when it's going to be, the time when the publisher, the editor would publish a fix for the vulnerability, a patch. And then eventually the time where you're allowed to apply this patch internally and the delay between getting it and putting it in production. So basically, hackers, they attack whenever they want, and you as a defender, you have to wait for all these things to happen. So time is always playing in favor of the offender. The second thing that is asymmetrically positive for the hacker is the perimeter. We used to have a very tiny perimeter back in the 90s, right? Where we had the Bastion, at DMZ, where we would put all our sensitive machines, and that's it. I mean, that's fine. It's all in a walled garden, and you cannot get in easily. Well, that doesn't work like this anymore because you have data in the cloud, in containers, on shadow IT drives that are stored somewhere, in unpublished and unknown websites, in every kind of VMs and environments. So the environment went from like one control zone to a super large zone that you don't really know what extent it has already, what area it covers. And on top of that, we had to create tons of VPNs. Ah, super. So now we had another problem. So meaning with the COVID crisis, everybody had to work from home and the companies created VPNs that are, barely secure and have not been tested, nor the filtering policy, nor the password policy. It was just not ready. So I'm not saying that all the perimeter is bad. I'm saying that at best, it's uneven, and hackers will always find the weakest point, the weakest link, the place where they can get in easily. So yeah, here is the perimeter asymmetrical force. And the last one would be money, right? Because when you see, for example, this JP Morgan example, with close to $1 billion in cybersecurity, the people that hacked them, they barely spent $8,000. So meaning JP Morgan spent $800 million and the hacker spent $8,000. So what are the odds you would go into a casino where your odds of winning are 1 against 100,000? You would not play in such a casino, right? Well, this is what the companies are doing day in, day out. They are playing with a 1 against 100,000 ratio in money necessary between the offender and the defender. So it's once again an asymmetrical force we're facing here. That's why even with the largest budget on earth, people get hacked and compromised. It's not because they're stupid. It's because they are facing an impossible challenge. But there might be a solution here. And if there's one place I'd need to convince that it's a good approach, it's definitely India, because you guys are so numerous. You guys have such a tremendous growth in IT space. And then the number of machines you're popping over the internet by day is just crazy. So let's look back. This castle strategy cannot work anymore, right? This moment with fax, with pagers is over. If you want your company to be fully into the 21st century, you have to share things. That's all the way, that's the way business is done nowadays. Now, how to defend it? Well, since resources are scattered across, we need to defend them wherever they are and not try to regroup them to defend them anymore. And we need to establish trust in milliseconds, right? And reputation is pretty much the only way of doing so. And crowd is the key, and we will see why. I'll be back on that one, because crowd is the key for a simple reason. For the best part of the last 40 years, we've tried to outsmart hackers, stacking layers over layers over layers of security applications and appliances. And we never outsmarted them. We failed. For the last 40 years, we failed. Here, what we propose is not to outsmart them. We propose to outnumber them. Outnumber rather than outsmart. Why is the crowd so important here? Because it's never been leveraged in cybersecurity environments, right? It's been leveraged in vacation environment, in driving environment, in friendship, working environment, crowdfunding. Okay, but what about security? Cybersecurity, we have sometimes 100 people collaborating over a bug bounty program, right? But we don't speak 100 here. Where are the millions in cybersecurity working together, joining forces, outnumbering hackers? It doesn't exist. This is what we're offering now. We are building the ways of firewalls, and we need you guys to be in with us in this fight to outnumber hackers. So what we do is exactly like Waze. The first thing is we use local information. Waze uses, for example, your position, the vehicle position, the speed and the heading of the vehicle, right? And then at some point, it deduces that there's a traffic jam ahead or a problem ahead on the road because you slowed down, for example. So it uses this local information to deduce a global problem. And it then shares a global problem with all the users of the network. This is exactly what we're doing, right? What we are doing is using a local information contained in your logs already, like in Syslog, in Splunk, in JournalD, CloudTrade, AWS CloudTrade, SIEM, ALK, Kafka, you name it. All those places are storing logs, and everything nowadays is spitting logs. Your car, your phone, planes, your microwave oven maybe, and obviously servers and services. So once we have those logs, we parse them and we apply scenarios. It could be your scenarios that you design. For example, you want to catch hackers doing, I don't know, credit card stuffing. So you wrote your own scenario. It's super easy. It's written in YAML. So it's super easy to understand YAML. It could be our scenarios because, the company is producing scenarios by itself, a lot. So they are already available on a place called hub.crowdsec.net. Or it could be community scenarios, meaning other people that created scenarios that you can use yourself in your own environment if you feel like, right? And once your scenarios are applied, maybe you found a bad actor that is trying to do, I don't know, port scan, net scan, HTTP scan, whatever, credit card stuffing, credential brute force, you name it. Then you can block this actor. You can drop the session, you can drop the IP connection, you can send a CAPTCHA if you want, you can lower the rights of the user, you can send a mobile factor authentication, all of this, right? So this is super important that you see that the remediation can be whatever kind you want. If you just want to fire an alarm in the Slack channel, that works as well, not a problem. And once you found a bad IP, that's cool, congratulations. If you share it with us, you don't have to, but you can. Then we'll do curation automatically. So it's automatic. All of this obviously is automatic. You don't have to do anything by hand now. Then you share it with us. We'll do the curation. Here again, it's automatic. And we'll see if this IP is a genuine IP and not kind of a hack attempt or a poisoning attempt. And if this IP is validated, then it will be broadcasted to the network again. Meaning you found an IP, you defended everyone else. The community found an IP, is defending you. Everybody is defended by the others because we share together this threat intelligence. And that makes us all stronger by the day. And you may be familiar already with the software called Fail2Ban. Fail2Ban is like an 18 years old software that used to do pretty much this, but in a simpler way and in a slower way. This is a bit like Fail2Ban, except what we do, the software is stateless and decoupled, meaning you don't have to interrupt any flux to use it. You know, it's looking into your logs in the backyard. So if ever there's a problem, you won't stop your production. It's decoupled, meaning you can detect on one place and remedy at whatever other place you want. It's not a monolithic thing that has to be on the same server. It could be separated, like, you know, detect, say, on your, I don't know, database and block into your, I don't know, reverse proxy. Works, no problem. Then it's high performance. It's 60 times faster than Fail2Ban, for example, because it's written in Go language. So it's a compiled environment that is extremely cloud friendly and super fast. It provides observability. It's super modular. It's multi-OS, multi-layer. It has a very simple grammar that you can create your scenarios yourself. And it's multi-stage detection. You can do things like if this and this, then that, for example. It's open source. It's free. You heard it right. It costs literally nothing. It's a MIT license. It's fully open source and transparent. It's been audited. You can modify it. You can adapt it. You can embed it in hardware on your software. We don't have a problem with that. We're happy to help you defend yourself. We make money on another way. I will explain later on, but the software is definitely for free. And you can get the CTI and the IDS features for free entirely. So without further ado, let's have a little demo about what the product does and how it works. So here you can see on the upper part of the screen, the defensor installing Crowdsourced. So it's a Debian package. It's included in a Debian Bullseye that just got out some days ago. And when you install it, so you can install it by hand, but you can also make it just an apt get install. It will detect all that is running on your machine and that it can help you about, like Apache, Nginx, SSH, MySQL, Telnet, SMB, and so on. And it will automatically install every collection and scenarios that are required to protect your machine. Now that the software is installed, and it's literally just one command to do so, let's look at the logs. The software is running. Now we will try to scan this website. This machine is running a website because it has Nginx, right? And when we try scanning it with Nikto, we get instantly code for HTTP probing, bad user agent, sensitive file inclusion and stuff like that. So the software detected us. And if we look now into the decision list, we can see that our IP has been banned. You see there's one IP here, 213 something. And you can see it's our IP that just did the scan and we've been blocked. And we can inspect this alert, see why it's been banned in the first place, what happened. Let's look at it. So we have all the details around the attack, who did it, what they did, what they tried to include, why we banned it, and so on. Now, if we try to access this server, though, we can still access it. So why that? Because as I told you, the software is divided into two parts. One part is detection, the agent, and one part is remediation, the bouncer. So this is a bouncer component that is blocking and preventing intrusions. So if it's an Nginx server you're running, just install the Nginx bouncer. It's a one-line command again, and you just have to, dezip it, install it, and restart Nginx. So now it knows that if an IP has been blocked by Crowdsourced, you should not leave access to this IP anymore. And you see it's forbidden. So now any IP that is detected doing crap and coming into this list, oh, by the way, someone tried to brute force us in SSH. We have a second IP. It's not us, actually. It's someone that really tried to hack while we're making the demo. So now if you try to access, you can access anymore because we removed our IP. Okay, but any IP that has been code doing crap will be blocked and cannot access the Nginx server anymore. As a matter of fact, we also have like IP tables here, and we see all the packets dropped by the kernel. So what can we do? Well, we can install the log parser for IP table and also the scenario that will parse those logs. And once it's done like this, now we can detect nmaps, for example. So if someone is nmapping your server, scanning ports on your server, you can block it. As simple as it is. It's detected, it's once again banned, and once again, we will not be able to access any longer the Nginx server. See, we're blocked because we have now a bouncer. So that's cool. Now let's check another feature of Crowdsourced. We have a local dashboard that you can spawn easily. It's just a container that will kickstart a database, so you can see what you've blocked so far. What are the things that are dangerous and nefarious that your machine has been blocking over the last, I don't know, day or months. So since we made two types of attacks, like an HTTP scan and an nmap thing, we will see in the logs that, we have those alerts that have popped from France, really, around the machine and what kind of scenario has been triggering and the remediation we took. So that's cool. Now, there's another feature of Crowdsourced I want to highlight is that you can inject cold logs. Logs that comes from the past, logs that were recorded, say, a year ago, for example, like 2019 or 2 years ago. You say, okay, those logs are Nginx. Please check them and tell me if you see something weird, if you see something dangerous. So this could be cool to check if your scenarios are good already, and detect things, but also it can help you identify things that happened in the past, people that scan you, or if you've been compromised, for example, where it comes from. So if we look now, we have way more decision because, we've injected those events from the past into the metabase thing, and we see whatever happened for the last year already. It's still loading, but you understand the point, right? So it's easy for you to check that everything is fine, and you can check the metrics as well. What happened, what was blocked, why, by which type of scenario, and so on and so forth. Okay, that was a demo. So now, what can a behavior engine do for you? Well, a behavior engine can do a lot actually for you. It can block applicative level DDoS, what we call L7 DDoS, layer 7 DDoS, applicative DDoS. Super easy. I mean, we have already a use case on the website. You just have to see how it's done, and you can block level 7 DDoS for free, entirely for free. You can, block parts of the ransomware attacks with like the drive-by download thing, because you may have trails into the proxy of users downloading a malware, or maybe of the website containing something specific, or that you are internally scanned by someone. You can create a canary using this software. You can block resource abuse, credential brute force, obviously, people that are trying to guess your passwords on network services. PHP-based Armageddons, like everything that is cross-site scripting, SQL injection related, port scans, web scan, credential stuffing, credit card stuffing. It's an interesting thing, credential stuffing, because how would you know you're a victim of a credential stuffing? You don't know if you're the only one getting like a login password attempts. But if a lot of other sites are reporting this IP because it's doing login password attempts, then it's a credential stuffing attempt. And there's no way you can detect it alone. It's the only way you detect this is being in a community, in a swarm. And next thing is both scrapping, targeted attacks, well, you name it. If it leaves logs, it leaves traces, and if it leaves traces, you can detect them, as simple as it is. And what we are up to is a resource war. You know why? Because actually hackers, they hate being woken up at 4 a.m. in the morning by FBI, because we all know they are not from the morning. They are not morning people. But mainly what we want them is being naked in the street. We remove all the IPs they are using to attack people, right? Those are stolen IPs, those are borrowed IPs, and they use them to shelter their activity, to hide their activity, to hide their assets. So meaning what we're doing is burning those IPs, we are peeling the onion. We are peeling the layers of anonymization they are using for themselves, right? I see there's a question, I think. Yeah, don't hesitate to ask any question. Sorry. So what we are creating all together here, and we firmly intend to have you on board and help us doing so, is a crowdsourced cyber intelligence system. In IPv4 and IPv6, we have so many addresses that, usually the CTI system, they are using some simulated services, like on a honeypot, over a few hundreds of servers spread on a couple of clouds. What we are doing is entirely different. We are harnessing the power of real machines, thousands of them, tens of thousands of them already, running real services all across the globe upon various types of environments and connection. We have universities in Togo, individual in Iceland, like professional people, I don't know, in China, in India, in America, running hosting services business, running small and big businesses. There are no way you can dodge us because we are everywhere, anywhere, and no one. You cannot pinpoint that we are on one cloud or another because we are spread all across the globe. So we are actually so far already probably the best honeypot ever at the largest scale ever. So we collect already 500,000 IPs that are dangerous and nefarious and that we share with our community. And we want to offer an internet trust broker to everyone so that you can call it with an API and say, hello, is this IP dangerous or not? And we will answer to you in real time. Yes, it is dangerous. You should not connect to this IP. We know it's been bad in the last days. Or no, you can connect to it. Not a problem. We haven't seen any problem with this IP so far. Doesn't mean it's 100% safe, but at least we know it's not been known for being dangerous. And it's API first. So it's really about, you can use this API access anywhere you want in any application. You don't even have to run the software. You can just make an API query to the CTI if you want. So a bad IP is a thing dependent on time. It used to be a good IP. It's been compromised or used by a hacker for a short period of time, and it will be released or corrected or healed somehow by its legitimate owner at some point. Meaning, we cannot consider an IP as being bad on the long term. That's why every 72 hours, we clean everything that is in the logs. If an IP has not been doing any more crap, we will just automatically clean it, right? We don't want to store super old IPs that are not relevant anymore. And that allows people that have been cleaning their things to not have to worry about, whether it's okay and you're back to normal or whether they have to unban themselves. It's just automatically. So we cannot trust anyone sending information to us though, right? Because there might be, I don't know, wrongly intended people sending false signals to us saying, you should ban, I don't know, Googlebot because it's dangerous. What would happen in such a case? Well, nothing. Because before you can send anything that we would consider, you would have to be in the network for at least 6 months already. Before we would not trust you. We have a quarantine time and you have to be reported by several instances of CrowdSec, very different ones, so that we consider signal. Trust rank 1 are the people that we trust the most. Trust rank 2, 3, 4, we trust them a bit less. And then, there are other trust ranks. For example, our honeypot is trust rank 0. It's the ultimate certification authority. So if you are trust rank 2 and we don't trust you yet, but our honeypots saw the same stuff, we will validate the signal and you will get a bit better ranking. You will climb the ladder to being trustworthy people in our network. We have a list of canaries. It's IPs like a whitelist that you cannot touch. So if you try to ban the Googlebot or Google Mail or I don't know, Microsoft Update or things like this, or Akamai core IPs or Cloudflare core IPs, you would not be able to do so. We wouldn't just not let this go through to our community. We would block this signalization. And then we have AI, predictive algorithm, digging into our own logs. It's not yet there. It will be there in 2022 to find low noise signals like IP A, B, C, and D working together in a team, spreading the attack across several machines with less noise in order to go undetected. So we also will be able to detect this at some point, even though not yet. Once the IP has been curated, it's integrated in our IP reputation database and broadcasted to the network of users all worldwide. That is like listening to our signals. And the cool thing is your logs are never exported. We just don't export your logs to our place to treat them. It's treated locally, right? The only thing we are taking back is the timestamp, the offending IP, the aggressive IP, and the behavior that this IP had. And by that, we mean that it's not necessary for us to know about your clients. We don't want to know about your clients. We collect the very minimum thing to help us and the network to get protected. But for the rest, we don't care about what's happening. It's happening locally at your place. You don't have online dependencies whatsoever. And where we make money, right? It's a question that often is asked to us. Well, we make money because some people just cannot share or just don't want to share the signals with us. They don't have to, but maybe they still want the CTI part to be activated. Well, then it's super easy. They can pay for it. They don't have to, but if they want to have the CTI for free because they don't share anything, well, that's okay for us. It's just they have to pay for that. And this API can be leveraged anywhere, at any level of any system. It could be in the code directly, in a language framework, on an HTTP server, daemons, appliances, wherever you want. It's not a problem. If you have an IoT with very few resources, it's just an HTTP request to protect it. So pretty simple, right? And if I talk about real-world examples, what happened is, for example, lately we blocked a 7,000 IP HTTP DDoS mitigation. We had a mitigation on the botnet. Actually, we had even a bigger one recently with a 3 gigabyte bandwidth attack and 600,000 packets per second sent to a web server that we blocked, and everything actually went well, and we blocked it in under a minute. And the second example we give often is like this web store that was a victim of credit card stuffing. So people trying to validate credit card numbers using very small amount of money transactions. And we could block them. Actually, 3,000 IPs were used for that in minutes. And then, the website went back online without, being harassed by this hacker. This is what we're doing. We use behavior and reputation together, behavior to generate reputation and reputation to defend on a worldwide scale. We already have 15,000 users and counting every day. We are in 102 countries already, and we are waiting for Indians to join us. If you feel like you can bring something, if you feel like you can use this product, feel free and just join us if you feel. Thank you for listening to me. So I see there are questions here. Omkar, for example, is asking how to get geographical detail of an IP address. Actually, it's super easy because we have it on, we have a module for that. Let me show you on Crowdsourced. You can enrich a decision based on geographical data. And I think it's a bouncer actually. No, it's maybe a collection. Let me check. I think we have one. Configuration. Yeah, GeoIP enrich. You go into the hub, you see the configuration part, and you can use GeoIP enrich, and it will enrich your decision based on geography information. It's already done. Just have to click on this button here, and it's a cost-based thing. You paste it in your shell, and it will be automatically enriched. I am inaudible. I'm not audible. I'm sorry about that. I'm super sorry about that. Yeah, you may have told me this earlier because I would have tried something else. I don't know how to make it better. Sorry about the sound thing. I will try to do it again with you guys if you're interested with a better microphone. Today, I'm in a hotel room and I'm very sorry if the sound isn't clear. Sorry about that. Are there other questions?
Yes, so there are some questions. First is this tool free to use?
Is this what, sorry?
What's up?
I understand what you say. It's hashed. I understand the people have issue. I have same issue with you. I cannot really hear you well. Can you type it in the chat, please?
So actually, she was asking about the thing. Like, is the Crowdsourced tool is free for use?
Absolutely, 100% open source, free to use, and as long as you share the signals, meaning the IPU block, then you get in return free CTI as well. So both the CTI engine and the behavior engine are for free, and it's going to stay forever like this because the money we make is mainly toward businesses that don't want to share but still want to benefit from the CTI and the global network insights. So yes, it's for free.
Okay, so and one more question is crowdsourced only for scanning websites?
Is crowdsourced what?
Only for scanning websites?
No, absolutely not. You have actually several ways of several things you can defend and protect. Let me show you back. The behavior engine can find anything in your logs that is relevant. So let me show you this here. This is this slide, that slide, sorry. So you see, you can detect things like an applicative DDoS. Say someone is trying to hammer the same URL once again every day or every hour, every second to block your website. You can block this super easily. You can block drive-by downloads, like people trying to lure you into downloading ransomware, for example. You can block credential brute forcing, like people trying to guess your password and hammering password dictionary to try to find credentials to your, I don't know, website, FTP server, SSH server, Active Directory server. You can block SQL injection, cross-site scripting, port scans, web scans, credential and credit card stuffing, and so on and so forth. I mean, as long as there is a log behind, you can probably block it. And if you look at it on the hub, as I showed you, there are a lot of configuration already made, pre-made, like collections. For example, for Apache, HTTP, cPanel, Dovecode, HTTP proxy, IP tables, and so on and so forth, Lambda, DAP, Linux, Mode Security, MySQL. And then, it's automatically done. So say, for example, you use a Cori server, you just go here, you cut paste this command line, and it knows how to parse like Cori logs, right? Or whatever other logs you're using. And then you can use the bouncer you want. Say, if you have a KD server, you will have a KD blocker. If you are using, I don't know, AWS and GCP, we have a cloud firewall bouncer also. So yeah, it's very versatile.
Okay, so and one more question is, can we get bugs by scanning website in Crowdsourced?
I don't know, bugs, no. I mean, the software is extremely stable so far. It's used already by very large hosting companies like GoDaddy in the US. So we have no report of unstable behavior. The worst case scenario is that if we have a bug and the thing crashes, it's not very important because it's not blocking your website or your firewall or your activities. It will just stop detecting things, but it's not breaking your production. So if you use it, we never had crash or memory leaks or I don't know, like security vulnerabilities, but if ever the stuff crash, it won't crash your production.
Okay, and someone is asking that, is it available for Windows?
Yeah, so it's available for Linux. It's available for FreeBSD. It's in Debian upstream packages. And we are actually having a port to Windows done. It should be released in a month from now, something like this. And we will have a Windows agent very soon. And we also plan to have a macOS agent soon as well.
Okay, and one more question is, what are the fleet features?
What are the what, sorry?
Fleet features.
Ah, yes, sorry, very well spotted. So I will pull you another slide deck where I explain this a bit better. Basically, the fleet features is for very large enterprises. And those enterprises, they, like, for example, GoDaddy, they have like literally tens of thousands of servers and they don't want to like deal with them one by one, they just want to have this this done centrally. So maybe they want to enforce a policy over thousands of servers with just one click. So there is a web console for that. It's premium features. Yeah, let me show you this. And then you can have like security policies and apply them throughout the network with just one click. So you can see it's an enterprise plan, a monetization plan. We have this thing that we will retail. One of them being private consensus. So it's a consensus made just between your machines that will allow you to know if you are the victim of a targeted attack and no one else is in the network. So meaning no one in the Crowdsourced network saw the same attack, but nevertheless, all your servers saw the same attack, meaning you are being targeted and not the rest of the network. It's a targeted attack. You can also have a feature saying, am I under attack, me, same concept, or am I attacking the others? Meaning, are your IP compromised already? And we start seeing them in the network, which means it's no-go, it's a no-go. You should clean something, you've been compromised. You have forensic as a service. You can scan very old logs and we will tell you if we know those IPs by then. And you have like customizable block lists. For example, it means like you can say, I'm not trusting whatever country and I don't want to accept those IPs, or I don't want to accept like Tor exit nodes or VPN exit nodes, or I don't know, things like that, or like boot scrappers and, you know, some kinds of activities. And you can have like local blacklist that you synchronize with a delta every like 5 minutes, so that your network is not slowed down by HTTP requests on the API, but you can do like local requests to go faster if you have a high throughput network. And soon we will have AI features, and we can host the software for you, also part of it actually, so that you don't have to have infrastructure servers. You just have to point it to a service that we will run for you, so that you just install the agent and then we take care of all the rest, and you have zero infrastructure things to run. This is pretty much how we will monetize things.
Okay, so, and we have one more question, that is malware decryption tools. Someone is asking about malware decryption tools, and is it available in Crowdsourced?
When malware did what, sorry?
Malware decryption tools.
It's not a deception tool as such. You could create a bouncer that would be a deception bouncer if you feel like. We don't have them yet. That being said, it's easy to write a bouncer and to say, okay, if this is an IP that you have in the list, then, you know, send it to whatever other IP, to whatever other honeypot. It's actually a good idea. We didn't have that yet, but I like the idea of a deception tool in the end. So I note it down in my list, and maybe one day we will have this, or you can code it and you share it with us and with the community. Very good idea.
Okay, so that was all the question we had. And thank you so much for the presentation and sharing all your valuable information. We all must have got a lot of value and knowledge from it. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm very happy to have presented. I'm sorry for the audio. Really, I hope it was still understandable. Otherwise, I will make a second round with you with a better microphone, but sorry for the audio. I cannot do much about it. Thank you for attending, and have a very great day in India.
No issue, sir. Not an issue. Thanks a lot for presenting at Gravithon 2021. We're glad to have you, sir. Thanks a lot.
And you can crash by our Gitter website. It's super cool. You can discuss with us. The team is always on Gitter, and it's easy for you to install the product and configure it if you have questions. Just Google Gitter Crowdsourced and you'll find it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Of course.
Have a safe bye.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending the session. And with this, we conclude today's session of Gravithon 2021, and keep forward for more sessions.